Os du Randt, widely regarded as the greatest loosehead to ever play the game of rugby and one of the all-time greatest Springboks. He would retire in 2007 as a double World Cup winner, but for a couple of years he found himself in the rugby wilderness. Struggling with injuries and with his head not in the right space, many believed Os's career ended in 2000, but it wasn't the end. This is the story behind Os du Randt's comeback. Os du Randt hit the domestic rugby scene in South Africa like a freight train. He broke the mold of what a prop was believed to be in South Africa. Props scrummed and operated in the tight loose. Os was different. He was a dynamic ball carrier and tackled like a flanker. He dominated in the scrums like good props do, but the extra element he brought to his game made him stand out above his peers, and in 1994 at the age of 22, Os made his debut for the Springboks against Argentina in Port Elizabeth. He quickly established himself as the first choice loosehead in South Africa, and he was one of the first names on the team sheet when the 1995 Rugby World Cup came around. Os was in dominant form and formed the foundation of a tenacious forward pack which punched above their weight. The image of Os tackling Jonah Lomu in the final with US around his ankles stands out as a reminder of his commitment on the field. At the age of 23, he was a world champion. 1996 was quite a turbulent year for Os. He suffered his first big injury against the All Blacks in the test at Newlands. It is believed that Os walked off the field and said, "I'm gutful," but the truth is he was struggling with injury and the issue wasn't his commitment. In 1997 he was back to his best, playing superbly for Free State during the Super 12, being a lone shining light against the British and Irish Lions, helping Free State reach their first Currie Cup final since 1994, and finally being named as the South Africa Rugby Player of the Year for 1997. In 1998, Os missed the entire international season due to injury, and Robbie Kempson replaced him at loosehead for the Boks. But again, in 1999, Os was back to his brilliant best. He was picked for the 99 Rugby World Cup and was one of the standout players in a fairly successful campaign for the Springboks. After the Bulls won the Currie Cup in 1998, there was only one way for them to go: down. They had a poor Super Rugby and domestic campaign in 1999, and in 2000 the Union decided to throw some money and a couple of World Cup Euros. They signed Os, Naka Drotsky and Jannie de Beer from the Cheetahs. Os never settled in Pretoria, and you sort of got the idea that he still wanted to play for Free State. He wasn't the same player at the Bulls, and all the injuries he suffered in the previous seasons finally caught up with him. He got injured again and called it quits at the age of 27. Os would not play again for 3 years. Os needed the time off. His knees suffered multiple injuries and his head was in a bad space. Back at his farm in the Free State, he was working hard to build a future for him and his family when he received a phone call from Rassie Erasmus, who was still playing for Free State but was also coaching the Cheetahs Vodacom Cup side. Rassie believed Os still had some rugby left in him and thought he would only be a good influence on a young Cheetahs side full of future stars. With the lingering thought of what if, Os decided to give it one final go. His thoughts didn't go past the idea of just playing for the Cheetahs again. He made his comeback in the Vodacom Cup, where he soon became the player of old with his strong carries and work around the park. He also played well for the Cheetahs in the 2003 Currie Cup season, and there were talks of Os perhaps being part of Rudolf Stroili's plans for the 2003 Rugby World Cup. Carrying on from his good form from the previous year, Os was part of the Cats Super Rugby squad in 2004 and again showed the world that there was plenty of life left in the old legs. He dominated in the scrums, tackled like a demon and carried like a real ox, and soon people would start chanting his name around stadiums again. He has always been a fan favourite and people loved seeing him back. It did his confidence the world of good. Jake White was appointed Springbok coach in early 2004 after one of the worst periods in Springbok history under Rudolf Stroili. Jake believed in the Springbok ethos, and he also believed that a well-balanced Springbok side would bring results quickly. Good results were needed after a quarter-final exit at the previous year's Rugby World Cup. Against all odds, Jake selected Os in the first test of 2004 against Ireland in his hometown Bloemfontein, 4.5 years after his last test in 1999. Jake wanted someone with Os's experience to help guide the younger players and bring pride back to the jersey. Os over-delivered on all expectations, and over the next 4 seasons, he became a fundamental piece in Jake White's puzzle of success. His good form continued into 2005, and he was part of a successful Cheetahs side that beat the mighty Bulls at Loftus in the Currie Cup final. Os was selected on the bench for the final, a surprise tactic by coach Rassie Erasmus, but the selflessness of Os worked and helped his team to their first Currie Cup in 29 years. Although he didn't start the final, he was dominant during the season and played a key part in the Cheetahs' success. His career would wind down in 2007. Everyone knew the end was near. He scored a try in his last test match on South African soil against Namibia at Newlands just before the Rugby World Cup in France. Os walked this journey with Jake for 4 years and was a certainty for selection. He saved his best for last and left nothing on the field. He played in 6 of the 7 games the Boks played at the World Cup, and he played the full 80 minutes in the final. The rest is history. The Springboks famously won their 2nd World Cup, and Os was the first Springbok to win 2 Rugby World Cups, a testament to his hard work and his refusal to give up. Os retired on top of the world in 2007, and in his own words, he never thought his comeback would lead to that fateful day in Paris. All he wanted was one last shot to play for his beloved Cheetahs. In 2019, Os was inducted into the World Rugby Hall of Fame with Richie McCaw, Graham Henry, Diego Ormachia, Peter Fatialofa and Shiggy Kono. He was on top of the world at the age of 23. He would struggle with injuries throughout his career, and he retired from the game at the age of 27. All it took was the belief of one man, Rassie Erasmus, to open the door for Os and for him to kick it down properly and finally end his career as the greatest loosehead prop of all time.